Howdy friends and neighbors, this is Terry coming at you. Take two. This time I had the microphone on. Yay me. First of all, before we get started, all those buttons, the subscribe, the like, the bell, fuck all them. You don't have to press any of that. You don't owe me or YouTube a damn thing. So with that out of the way, like I said, take two. We're here to talk about, usually like to talk about one thing at a time, but I don't want to spread this out. We're going to talk about two tricyclic drugs, doxepin and trazodone. Let me give you the other names for those. Okay, doxepin is also called Silenor, Silenor, and trazodone is often called Oleptor, Oleptor. So if you're Googling that or looking them up or doing other videos, if you can't find what you're looking for on one, type in both. Okay, let's start off with how I got on tricyclics to start with. Okay, I'm given to mania. If given a chance, I will go into mania and psychosis. So, let's see if we can focus a little bit. There we go. By the way, excuse the camera. I got a new lens and I have yet to figure out this piece of technology. When I do, it'll obey my will. So, it all comes down to sleep. I wasn't sleeping. No, let me rephrase that. I was getting 4 hours of sleep a night, which is so much better than that 2.5, maybe 3 hours of sleep I was getting. And they said, well, we'll put you on these. Or first of all, they offered me Zyprexa or Seroquel. And I'm like, Zyprexa, no, I've been on it. And Seroquel, that stuff makes me convulse. I don't want to say akathisia because I was never officially diagnosed with it. And this is a first person account, anecdotal. And I'm obviously not a healthcare professional, although I've been in the healthcare professional industry longer than most healthcare professionals have been in it. So maybe I know a little bit, at least about me. So the doxepin has the usual side effects, dry mouth, dizziness, drowsiness, constipation, and this is when I was worrying about urinary tract problems urinating. And I was having all of those symptoms, which I'm not used to having all the symptoms. And the urination was really bothering me because my kidneys usually work at hyperdrive, and I didn't want to backflow into them. I was having to shove my fist into my abdomen to compress my bladder. But the final straw was, and by the way, this is a graphic cutting thing, so maybe want to look away. I'll give you a 5 count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, let me start by saying I have never, ever cut myself. I've never, ever self-mutilated. The only time I've ever cut myself was digging out a splinter. So I'm working on my computer, putting it apart, and I'd cut the box open to get to it, and my desk is just cluttered with all sorts of junk. I'd move the camera to show you, but it'd take forever to get back into focus. So all of a sudden I'm standing 3 feet away from my body, a little bit further than I am from the camera right now. And there's this other guy who's me sitting in the chair. But all of my consciousness is standing up watching that person. And I watch him pick up a razor knife, cut off the first segment, so I have a really sharp second segment, and he does some very delicate, concise cutting. It was just deep, sharp enough to draw blood, but not enough for blood to run. And it was a mesh pattern, crisscross pattern, all up and down my forearm. And I was watching myself just detached from feeling it. I was watching myself detached from feeling any emotion about it or worrying about it or anything like that. So then I'm back in my body sitting in the chair. And I look at the cut, and it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't come as a shock. I'm not worrying about it. And let's focus some more. So anyway, I'm looking at it, and I think two things. Whoa, I just self-mutilated. And two, I thought to myself, I did it in a way that it was all straight lines. It wasn't cutting deep enough to hurt. Matter of fact, the pain level would have been worse if a kitten had clawed me with its paws, because it was a very sharp knife and there were not deep cuts. So there was, and I wasn't in my body when it happened, so there was very little, if no, pain. So I wasn't going for anything to feel something. I wasn't going for anything to try to regain control over my situation, and I wasn't going for any PTSD stuff. And I couldn't believe I did it. Okay, I didn't give these people a mark, but anyway, hopefully if you turned away, you can come back now. So I immediately quit taking doxepin that night because the urination issue, and also I just cut myself up, and I'd never ever done something like that before. I've never done anything even close to that, and I've sure as hell never disassociated with the out-of-body experience and watched it. So I call it in, and I explain my symptoms, and he goes, "Oh, urination, that's pretty bad." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And I go, "But how about the disassociation of out-of-body experience and putting 20 3-inch long cuts on your forearm?" He goes, "Drug wasn't responsible for that." And I'm like, "I looked it up. That's one of the black box symptoms." He's like, no. And he goes, "Well, we're going to put you on trazodone now." And trazodone is a very similar drug. I haven't had any. My problems have been much less since I've been on trazodone, and I sure hadn't had any disassociation. But I have a bad history with antidepressants, especially SSRIs. If you give me an SSRI, you might as well book me a room in the psych ward. Well, these, I think, are making me hypomanic, and that's a damn shame, because I've been on Vraylar for over half a year, actually about 8 months now, and it's a wonder drug. I haven't had any symptoms until I went on the tricyclics. No mania, no depression, and no psychosis, which for me is just unprecedented. Going back to my not just teens, but to early childhood. I had psychosis. Um, so I was absolutely thrilled. Almost zero side effects and what have you. And then for a month, I'm on these tricyclics, and everything's going straight to hell. I'm having mania. I'm spending way too much money. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm being social, but I'm being an asshole about it. And I'm wondering how much, closer this will get me to mania or a psychotic break. So I keep on trucking along, and like I said, it upsets me that the Vraylar has been fucked up. And then they have me go to a sleep study, and I get a magnificent night of sleep. I sleep for just over 5 hours, which for me is luxurious. I usually get maybe 4.25 hours, and I wake up and go back to sleep, wake up and go back to sleep, wake up, go back to sleep at least 3 times. So the doctor comes in and said, "You got a lot of sleep." And I'm like, "Yeah, I noticed. I got a watch on, but yeah, I'm pushing 50. I'm one of those people who knows how to tell time on a watch." And he goes, "Well, you didn't sleep enough." And I go, "You have no idea how much I slept." He goes, "And you don't have apnea." I'm like, "No shit, I don't have apnea. I've done these sleep studies before, and I told you right up front, I do not have apnea. I don't know why you don't believe me, but you don't." And then he goes, "Well, I tell you what you don't have besides apnea. You didn't have any REM sleep, REM, rapid eye movement." And that shook me, because you can sleep all you want, but if you don't have any REM, you're pretty much, you're hosed. So yeah, I told my psychologist about that, and she was like, "Well, have you looked up those symptoms?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, then you know how bad no REM sleep is. When's your follow up with them?" I go, "I don't know. They're supposed to call me." She was like, "No, you get on the phone and call them." I'm like, "Sure. I'm right on that. I'm pretty fucked up right now. I can make phone calls." And like I said, Vraylar is awesome for me and for other people I've met. Not for everybody. I've met people it's not great for. And if it has any drawbacks, well, the single drawback to it, if it works for you, is how much it costs. As a matter of fact, at the end of the year, I'm going to have to go shopping for a new drug insurance company, one that'll cover Zyprexa I finally got them to cover Zyprexa, but they want $450 a month for it, copay. And I'm like, we still got to do better than that. I'm on disability, and if I could swing $450 a month, well. So anyway, so far we've covered, I like to cover one topic at a time, but all of these are so interconnected and related. So we talked about tricyclics, doxepin, trazodone. Then we went into the possibility of taking Zyprexa or Seroquel, and I said no. It screws my sleep, and also I don't particularly care to get that fat. And then we talked about Vraylar and how I'm lamenting being screwed up in the head all day because of the tricyclics, and how I miss the clarity and non-side effects that I got from Vraylar. And let's see, after that we went into some more symptoms. Then we talked about sleep deprivation and no REM sleep. And also, earlier we talked about how screwed up the tricyclics are making me. And we talked about my piss poor history with tricyclics. So it's way longer, way more detailed video than I usually make, but all of those things are interconnected. They all happen with the same time period. So they, no, I don't know for a fact they're interconnected, but anecdotally, if they're not interconnected, it's like flipping a coin 10 times in a row and it coming up heads 10 times in a row. Can it happen? Yeah, sure. But you wouldn't want to bet on it beforehand. So really, I feel like grabbing those doctors by their lapels and their little white jackets, which I have no idea why they still wear, and shaking them till they take me seriously. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. I get the feeling, like I said, I'm getting jacked up already, and I'm already feeling hypomanic, which I hadn't felt in 8 months I've been on Vraylar. So maybe when I go full-fledged manic or have a psychotic break, they'll go ahead and put me in the, in the psych ward and go, well, maybe we shouldn't be doing this because blah, 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 blah. And maybe I'll bite my tongue and not scream no shit, you sorry bastards. So, boy, that was a downer note we ended on. Let's end on a good note. I'm sleeping more, and the Vraylar is helping me out as far as my thinking. The only problem I'm having thinking right now is I'm being dazed when I wake up by the antidepressants. But, things are a lot better now that I'm not on massive doses of Seroquel, Depakote, and Klonopin morning, noon, and night. So, got that going on for us, and that's a pretty damn good thing. Especially since I was doing that for almost 20 years. I liked where I was at, except for the sleep problems, and I like where I'm going. So, let's just wrap this up. Okay, I don't know how many of you were old enough to watch Mr. Rogers on television. But Mr. Rogers always said that there are billions of people in this world, but only you can be you, and the world needs you to be you. So that's why you're so special. So take care of yourself, and if you can, take care of others, because they're special too. And all those push notifications that Google wants you to do, the Google overlords of YouTube want you to do. Only thing I ask is hopefully, if you watch this and it eased any of your worries about having these symptoms because it seems familiar to you, maybe leave a comment so that others can read it and say, hey, I know what perspective they're coming from. And that just goes back to helping others. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.